Hi, Amy. I'll say it again. I love those bookshelves.
Thank you so much. They were made by a woman, wood by Svenja with the Y.
Is she sexy? Because she sounds sexy.
I mean, in like a hot lesbian carpenter kind of a way that you would expect. Yes, she is.
Is she Russian?
Yes, I think so.
My best friend is Russian, and she is my lifesaver, and she does not listen to my podcast because she's littles, like 2 under the age of 2, although I guess he just turned 3. But I called her in between when we said, hey, let's record this, and now because I have to figure out how to kill my husband. She actually solved my problem brilliantly because my husband, whatever. Basically, it's remote learning in the pandemic, and so apparently, if you have a government job, you can take off work. And my husband is a psychologist for the state, so.
Oh my gosh!
Bam, motherfucker! I'm really.
What a cool job.
Cool
job. It sounds cool.
This is not right now. I do not think it's a cool job. He's at a psych ward, but he used to be on Randall's Island / Ward's Island, and he was like forensic psychologist, and he was in charge of deciding who was sane enough to stand trial. The intro to Law and Order kind of thing.
Right. My husband's a psychiatrist.
I'm so excited.
I know.
That's really good. I'll have to get his name after, not for me, but because I have patients and they, referrals, etc.
Okay. He's really good, I hear, but I think his practice may be closed at the moment.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Also, you think, so that's good. You are obviously dealing with marriage and the pandemic in a better way than I am. I think.
Because I have a live-in?
Oh, maybe. I was more thinking like, separation. I don't know. I think I'm just going to stop talking to him for like a month and see if he notices. He probably won't. Okay. So Amy, before we started, as part of your intro, you allowed me to share for the audience this fucking fantastic, thing that you did 8 months ago. And
yes, back in the day
when we were so overwhelmed, and you have 2 teenagers. The whole reason I started reaching out to comedians was because I'm like the uber compulsive pandemicer, and so I started waking up at 5:30 in the morning and exercising for 2 hours so that no one bothers me. Hi, Chad.
Wow.
And then, although they bother. Sorry. I wanted to warn, but so they bother me anyway. And so I was watching old comedy specials. And of course it's like 2016, 2018, 2019, and everyone's bitching. And I'm like, fuck you all. Not in a bad way, but in a like, wait.
Loving.
Yeah. But in a like, wait, you guys didn't know how bad it was going to get. No, none of us did. And so, of course, when I decided to stalk you, the first thing I saw is 8 months ago, this thing about like basically, as the modern day equivalent of Mrs. Maisel, which I guess is a compliment, but it's sort of just a Jew thing, I think. Yeah. It's sort of, it's whatever. But I'm a Jew, I can say that, but you probably knew that because Long Island thing,
Well, Weisner helped.
Yeah,
too.
I know. True.
Yeah.
But so how the fuck are we managing this now? How are you managing this now? Like, what do you think of yourself 8 months ago? Don't you wish you would like stop complaining?
Yeah. Shut your trap, Amy.
No.
You don't know how good you have it.
Right. Don't we all? Right.
One thing is I was just thinking about the virtues of being a type B person.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know. I have some type A tendencies, I suppose, because I'm supposed to say that. But
why are you supposed to?
I just get the feeling that, you're supposed to just drive hard and push hard. And I guess I started comedy really late, and as a consequence, I haven't felt like oh, if I don't make it as a comic, my life is crap and I'm crap. You know, I love comedy. It's so fun. I love listening to it. I love being in the liveness of laughing with fellow comics and the process of watching stuff go from bad to better to actually good in other people and myself. But you know, I have a life, and so I haven't, and because I started comedy actually the week that Trump was inaugurated.
That was going to be my question, actually, as to when you started. And
I haven't been impeached yet, so just
you're
saying.
probably, well, yeah, I know. I was going to say, or fired, and you know, there's a million of those. Yeah.
So I think that, you know, I'm on it for the ride. I'm on it for the growth. I'm on it for the joy. But I have a life that's not that. And I also know that, you know, are they going to say, oh, and now the first 52-year-old new comic on Fallon? You know, like I don't know. I know I'm going to make my own way somehow, and I don't know what it looks like. And so I'm just trying to be in the moment and enjoy the ride. And I've been trying to do that all along. So this isn't that different, I guess, in some ways.
I have 8,000 questions. I'm a bad podcaster because I constantly interrupt because there's like, well, my ADD meds haven't kicked in yet. And so there's no delay from brain to mouth, but you know, what was it a coincidence that you started during the first week of Trump, or was it a fuck the world or frustration or brave, you know, or we're all going to die anyway, so here it goes.
It was a little bit of a coincidence. I had been working full-time for a consultancy, and that job kind of wound down a little bit around the beginning of 2017.
What does that mean? Wait, what is a consultancy?
That's a funny question. No, I worked as kind of a management consultant with this company called On Your Feet that uses a lot of kind of experiential learning and improv theater practices to help companies have better meetings that are not boring and that are more effective. And so I was working with them full time for a long time, doing a lot of travel. And your kids are a little younger?
9 and 11, almost 12, if I let him. Yeah.
So I was finding that as my kids were hitting teenness, that they needed more me and that things were less outsourceable in a way.
Really? Like, I would expect it to be the other way.
I know, I would have too, but I had heard rumors that this was going to happen. But what it is that, you know, they come to you with these things that are like, there's that Yiddish expression, little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems. I don't know, kleine, blah, blah. And so
that always makes me want to shoot someone when they say that to me, but go on. Yeah, but it's true what you're saying.
But their problems get bigger. Like, oh, here's so-and-so smoking weed on Instagram, and they kind of bring it to you, and it's like, that's a tacit way of saying, like, Mom, what am I supposed to think about this? What am I supposed to do about this? And we had a string of childcare that made, and I live far away from my family, that made it really kind of like, I just can't have somebody else doing this stuff. Like, I have to be here. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't just one Instagram post. They just emotionally, they needed somebody that they needed a rock.
No, I love.
They had to settle for me.
Yeah, no. Actually, I love what you're saying because my husband is the one who like sit on the floor and play with them, and like they've been playing Mortal Kombat because we have whatever. Like we refuse to let them play the other one. I can't
Call
remember.
of Duty.
Yeah, or right, or
Murder Me Softly.
Something like that. All the violent, whatever. Like we're like, no, our kids can't do that. But apparently, Mortal Kombat, the graphics are bad enough that my husband is cool with it.
You know what? Whatever.
I know. Like, yeah. Also, pandemic, different rules. But
right.
But he'll do that. But to me, I'm like, if you give me like, okay, we can play cards, we can play Connect Four, but like, I don't want to play Barbies. Like, and the one thing that I think my kids do, that was horrible, but whatever. Exactly.
She said do.
Exactly. I was like, fuck. Is at least they used to, and they will again in the future, I'm guessing, as they come to me with their bigger problems, because, well, I don't mind swear words and I don't mind like, you know, the other stuff. So this has made me hopeful that I will once again be valuable at some point in their ongoing lives. So
you will, more than you ever dreamed, honey.
Really?
Yeah, it's coming soon. Well, I don't know, it sounds like your older one might be a boy.
He is. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Are they both? And the younger one's a girl?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you have two boys?
I mean, I have two girls.
Okay.
That was a girl that popped out in her NASA.
It looked like a prison suit. It looked like a prison. Yeah. Like all I saw was like a flash of orange red, and then I was like, "Oh, I should tell child on camera."
Yeah, she's the one kid on the girl on the Upper East Side with short hair. She's a real trailblazer.
Good.
So,
good.
Yeah, you know. I know. She's got such awesome style. So, yeah. So anyway, I just feel like it was important to be here, and we moved back to New York 8 years ago from, I was living in my hometown of Portland because my husband, this is like I'm telling the story backwards, but my husband, we were both in the film business working in LA. Okay. And then he was like, I'm really unhappy. I want to be a psychiatrist. And I was like, you should have told me that before I had the baby.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we picked up stakes from our beautiful house in LA. God, it was so nice. And moved to Portland, where I'm from, which felt like a massive failure. And I kind of supported him while he did pre-med and then med school. And then we came back here for his residency. So he's kind of newer to his career, even though, you know, I'm in ARP. So,
but that's sort of awesome. What did you do in film? Now I'm curious.
I worked as a screenwriter for a while.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and I worked at Miramax in the 90s. When it was cool.
I know. Why don't you be like proud and boastful about it? That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, and I worked in some TV stuff that was kind of early reality / documentary TV. And
like what? Yeah. Anything good?
There was this show called American High, which was really good.
I don't recall.
And I know. It premiered. So reality TV wasn't really a thing. Like people weren't really calling it that yet. And our show premiered the same week as this other new kind of show called Survivor.
Oh, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
And yeah. And I don't know, one lasted and one went to PBS.
Gotcha. It's okay. My husband, we're watching, I'm a Big Brother fan. I don't know why, probably just because it's 3 times a week and I'm brainwashed. But my husband tried to convince us to watch. There's another show on the same network, and it's, darn, I wish I could remember the name, but it's like average people trying to prove how strong they are. And you've got like a goldsmith and a masoner and a bricklayer. I'm making stuff up. I can't remember the name of the show. But we're like, what? No, why would we want to watch this? So no offense to whoever wrote the show, but yes, that's very fun. I interviewed I love him and I'm forgetting his name, but John Jory Rose is his wife. I forget it. The guy who was the emotional, like the psych-emotional consultant for Inside Out.
Oh, cool.
Yes. See, it's really cool. And now I'm blanking on John's name, and he's awesome, and I love him, and I have to look him up so I don't lose my mind.
Okay. So anyway, I'll just talk while you're looking it up. So,
John Schinnerer. Okay.
Schinnerer. I could see how that's hard to remember. Do you only have Jews on this show? I don't know. So when we moved back to New York, I got obsessed with taking classes here in so much stuff because every everybody here is the best. I mean, I know that sounds really gross, but like, I would take a humor writing class at the 92nd Street Y, and it was taught by Patricia Marks, who wrote for the New Yorker forever and still does. And she's hilarious. And then there would be these women, and I would think like, oh, you're a housewife from Connecticut. And then they write things that just kick my ass. And then there was another woman in the class who's like, I don't know, like by the end of the class, I think I want to like have something published in the New York Times. And 3 months later, she had this great viral piece in the New York Times. Like, everybody's, you know, playing for keeps, playing their A game. And
you should move to Long Island, because like, I'm the smartest person here, I think. No, I'm not really, but I mean, you know, but like, I understand what you mean. It's a different pool of like, because if you're going to be in the city, you're going to bust your ass to be the best in the city.
Right. And, you know, and you have to do something while you're here that you can't do in, you know, Paducah, Kentucky, or whatever.
If you're going to pay city prices, you better do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. I know.
So my stand-up comedy class kind of coincided with winding down the work. And I was like, whoa, this is really good, because it's the writing, it's the performing, it's kind of directing, like you're directing the arc of a set.
Yeah.
And your performance, you know, you're creating that energy of a show. And you know, it's social, and I can also push it or pull it as hard as I need to or want to with my family. So I can go 6 days a week because there's always something to do, like an open mic or something. Or if something's going on, I can go once a week and, you know, deal. So
that is,
it just was everything
cool.
at once.
It also
for
sounds
me.
like serendipitous, sort of, the way it all felt.
It was tremendous. It was, I mean, I feel really fortunate that I found it when I found it, how I found it. And it did feel like a moment, like, oh, I have something to say. And, you know, we're all kind of swimming in our own waters and don't realize, but there's so many 20-something white guys in comedy. I mean, I can go to a mic and still, I mean, you know, pre this, and there will be 21 guys and 2 girls, or sometimes 1 girl, or I could be on a show and I'm the only woman. And it just kind of like, to show up at my age, which is 25,
obviously
backwards, and you know, just showing up feels like its own act of, fuck you, I'm here. I know you want me to leave, and I'm not gonna.
I also think it shows your daughters something. It's an image for your daughters, you know. So I'm a psychologist. I accidentally ended up falling into the specialty of suicidal teens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was about 2 years ago. You know, I have problems because of time travel and the corona, but basically I accidentally fell into the specialty because a lot of kids started killing themselves at the same time. And so and I was like, and also because I'm a little bit more laid back, and my first response isn't go to an emergency room. My first response is, but really, you know, like, and I can use sarcasm and like explore it, and, you know, so
and be real.
Yeah.
I see your inner teen is just right on the
surface. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I swear, and I whatever. And then about right around the same time, a writer friend I have approached me and asked me to read a self-help book she had written. And then I had thrown out my back. And so I read it, and I was like, it's cool. I was also on painkillers and possibly high. But would you like a co-author? And so I backed up what she said with science and fact and whatnot. And so and then one day I had this brilliant plan. I was like, you know what? We're going to use the book release to talk about destigmatizing mental health and preventing teen suicide, right? And I got all these celebrities to donate. I have a signed copy of Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale in my other room. in my basement right
Cool.
now. It is cool. And the book release was March 18th.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So there was no book release. Right. So it was this very humorous, like, you know, waiting my whole life to see my name on a book cover. And then what? There was a lot of.
You did it.
Well,
you
yeah.
did it.
There was a lot of crying and a lot of drinking, and then more drinking and more crying. But then I had already started the podcast, and so I threw myself into that. And then I had asked Psychology Today if they would cover the book launch, because I ran out of fucks when I turned 40. So
oh man, I'm still working on it. I'm so much older. I have a lot less fucks.
No, I like have no fucks. And I mean, I literally emailed the editor of Psychology Today and was like, would you, right? And she said, well, we don't really cover, it sounds like a great event. We don't cover it, but would you like a blog? I was like, yes, I would.
Why, as a matter of fact, that's
as
cool.
A matter of fact, yeah, it is very cool. So now I run around harried doing this. And then the blog, for a while, we were talking about really serious subjects, like uncomfortable things, like racism and momming while Black versus momming while white, and losing a child, you know, and all these things. And I wanted to talk about uncomfortable things, and then everything went to shit. And now I feel like I need to connect to people differently, which is why I've been stalking comedians, which is
interesting. Comics, I mean, I'm sure you figured this out. And also I'm doing the standing up, sitting down, because I threw mine back out too. I
know. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. It's actually exercise, so.
Yeah, exactly. My squats.
We were say comics and
that so many comics suffer from really bad depression, and it's such an up-down field anyway. But and the real good comedy comes from the real stuff and the real truth. It's not when you talk about, like, how about chocolate ice cream? I mean, I'm sure somebody can do a great bit on chocolate ice cream, especially if you can tie it into existential despair. But like the flip side of most comedy is the heavy stuff that people don't want to talk about it. Yeah. Or haven't found a way to talk about it. And I feel like that's our job, and sometimes I get hung up on, am I funny enough? And, I don't know. When I remember that, it gives me the strength to go on despite whatever imperfections, just to keep putting stuff out there, because I also feel like not being a 20-something and being in comedy means, there's little that I've seen some shit, man. I have things to talk about a little bit.
But so. I think you're funny. And again, I'm obsessed with the Holderness family. Do you know who they are? It's I don't know. They're annoying. She's annoyingly beautiful, and they're very funny. And I'll send you a link or a clip or something. But they're fantastic. And your stuff reminds me of that,
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so I think they're definitely not New York, though. She would be like the California version of you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Although I guess I can't say that, but like you were meant to be a New Yorker, clearly.
It's kind of, I mean, I'm born and raised in Portland, Oregon.
I heard you, but I still think you're meant to be.
I think it's true. I came here for college, and I left 2 or 3 times, and I just keep coming back, and I just can't see myself leaving now.
You went to Barnard, am I remembering? Right?
Yep.
Stalker.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. What did you think you wanted to do then?
I think I wanted to write then, but I think I was like, oh no, I couldn't. And also it was weird at the time. They didn't have a writing major per se. They had this thing called program in the arts. And so you had to kind of be interdisciplinary. And I was kind of like, I don't care about dance. I'm sorry. I'm sure it's wonderful, but I like to sit down, and right. It just, I mean, I understand the academic interdisciplinary value of it, but no, thank you. So I ended up, I had such a long and winding road to where I ended up, which is, where am I? But
the road's not over. That's the great thing about life.
I'm on it. Right.
Right.
So anyway, it was, yeah. By the way, you might like my podcast.
Okay. What's it called?
But it's temporarily, at least, maybe permanently defunct, but it's called Two Moms on the Couch. And it's me, a comic, sitting down with the therapist, and she's really funny. And I'm a fake therapist because, you know, I'm married to a psychiatrist. What else do I need?
It goes through the sperm. It goes through the sperm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, wait, that means we have, oh, well.
It's okay. Anyway, no, my husband's a lawyer and a psychologist. So I am I'm an expert on both. Yeah. No.
That's great.
Yeah. He's not cool. I'm cool. But so why is it defunct?
Because life, she's working on writing a book, about kind of how parental anxiety gets in the way of being good parents to teens.
Oh my God. You can interview me anytime, by the way.
Okay, cool. I'll tell her to listen to this. And about how, you know, when we make decisions based on our values instead of looking at the person across the street and what they're doing and where they're sending their kid and what they're letting their kid play on the video or not, or, you know, that you have to kind of get focused on your own values in order to make good parenting decisions, not on competition. And
I will read that book. Also, yeah, right? I think you should revive it, and I can just be your substitute co-host, you know. I fit all the qualifications.
You really do. You would be a fun guest to have. Yeah. Well, she's also, do you know the word Mishpochah?
No, you're the best ever. Wait, there are Jews in Portland? Okay, go.
No, she's here.
No, but you're a Jew.
I'm a Jew. I know, a Jew in Portland.
Right.
It's so weird. Yeah, it was.
So what's the word?
Mishpochah. It means like you're we always would have Thanksgiving with my first cousin's family, my aunt and uncle, but then on the other side, they had cousins who weren't my cousins, and they would be considered my mishpocha. So they're not really my relatives, but they're in my family.
Yeah.
And so Dana, my co-host of the podcast, is mishpocha because her brother married my first cousin. That's how we met.
Oh.
We got fixed up at their wedding.
Oh, that's really cute.
Yeah.
That's very cute. By the way, that's like the third time in my life I've heard a sound from my phone. And it's because I turned on the sound while I was treadmilling to watch and stalk. So it's your fault.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Don't you feel like we could talk for 17 hours straight?
Yes, and I know you have a hard stop. Don't worry. But I do.
I know you do too. But I'm just like, I feel like we're just getting started, and yet.
I actually moved my class to start a little.
Oh, cool.
So we have a little more time. It's funny what you say about anxiety because, again, my best friend is Russian, the one who's going to help me bury the body or hire a divorce attorney, whatever. She, why did I mention her? Besides the fact that I was just talking about her. But she. Anxiety. Thank you. Oh, my poor brain. Actually.
I know. I'm with you, girl.
Yesterday I was teaching a class at 5:00 and I kept stumbling or forgetting words, and it was a class on unusual diseases, unusual diagnoses, and this kid writes in the Zoom chat, he said, I was like, I want to be famous enough to have one named after me, and the kid writes Weisner syndrome, when you keep forgetting forgetting the words you're looking for or something, and that kid is awesome. And humorously also Russian, just as an aside. So my best friend moved in with me when my several years ago I threw out my back severely, and so I had two littles, and my best friend moved in with me for 6 months to help me take care of the kids. And I was putting my son on a bus for the first time to go to camp, and as the bus is pulling away, I said, "Don't forget, if there's a fire, you have to take him out of the car seat." And my best friend looked at me. She goes, "Normal people don't do that." And she, and that is, and like, she's like, "Come on." And so we went inside and found myself a psychiatrist because it was time for anxiety meds. So I'm a little better. The funny part is, several years later, the bus counselor became a patient of mine, and but we had to we didn't realize it for several years.
Right.
Hold on. My current need to kill my husband is about my anxiety over schools. I want full-time remote learning, and he's concerned that with all my chainsaws that I juggle, I will not properly execute the homeschooling task. And so my best friend pointed out that he can take off of work and do it himself. Whereas my idea was to come up with an extremely detailed plan, or like A, B, C, D, and E, like sort of what lawyers do, where they right.
And if they say da da da, we've got this.
Right. And also, it doesn't have to be truth. That's my plan. My plan is to come up with an extensive lie that is so complicated that he could never figure it out.
Okay.
You think divorce attorney?
You cannot. No, you need him. He's your live-in housekeeper, baby, whatever. Like, you don't have to talk to him. Just put him to work.
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know either, but it is my anxiety, and fine.
This is a tough, brutal time. I mean, it's, and all these decisions, it's like, how do we make a decision when all the choices are super terrible?
I know.
And it so much depends on the kid. Like, some kids, I think one of my daughters actually really did well with remote learning, and the other one, it really was a struggle. And
but what are you guys doing? Are you?
We're doing in-house hybrid. So one of my kids is going remotely, and one of my kids is doing the hybrid blended thing where she's going 2 days a week and doing remote 2 days a week.
Yeah, they're all bad ideas. I feel like there's no good idea here. There just isn't. The hybrid is an interesting one, but our school was going to put the hybrid with the full-time students, which meant.
Oh, you guys have full-time students?
Yeah, we were given 3 options.
Oh.
Yeah, we pay a lot in taxes as well.
Yeah, where are you in Long
Hewlett?
Island?
It's a.
I've heard about their schools, I think.
Yes.
Have I? Like,
you probably have.
They're like a thing.
Yeah, Hewlett is very good for the South Shore, and then the North Shore, I think it's Jericho and something else. I don't know. But yes, our schools are supposedly excellent. But our remote learning was a fucking joke. Especially for my 3rd grader. Her teacher once sent the science homework was like, circle which of these make noise. And it was like a drum, a pillow, a scarf, cymbals. And I was like,
doesn't the pillow make noise when you scream into it?
That's an excellent question. I think there was an apple too, and an argument could be made about biting into an apple. So philosophy.
Boy, that is rough.
Right, but if that was philosophy homework, cool. We could geek the shit out of it, but but not science.
Yeah, my big frustration is that they haven't poured every ounce of square footage and energy and everything and imagination into getting the littles back into school safely, because and every 20-something-year-old give them some like AmeriCorps thing or something to go in there as safely as possible, because you can't learn cursive online, you can't learn to write online, you can't learn to read online, you can't learn to sit still and line up online. Like, it's just terrible and sad. And it's not ideal for my kids, I get it. And the inequities get stronger you know, when people are remote, I think, but to have those inequities, like starting off a kid's educational,
financial, like socioeconomic, race,
access, race,
yeah,
all that stuff, like to start with this, you
yeah,
know, when kids are little, is just, it's really heartbreaking to me, and I don't see how that's good for society.
It's not. I'm pretty sure this is like, well, I'm pretty sure Trump's inauguration was like the start of the fall of Rome for us, but
keep telling jokes.
I don't know, right? Like we're all just, I know. I'm sorry. I mean, Trump isn't even funny anymore, but it's really not. But I will say, so I grew up in Florida. Ugh, I know. Yeah, I know. Florida, whatever. It's their own, that's their own, that's an island of stupidity, even though it's a peninsula. You know, but
that's how dumb it is.
Yes, exactly. It's also the only reason I know the word peninsula is because I grew up in Florida. My dad had a neighbor several years ago, and he's convinced my dad to invest like $50,000 into this invention, and it was basically like supposed to, like, a safe way to search a suspect's pockets, like for police officers.
Okay.
I did a horrible job. I don't know what's wrong.
Like a portable X-ray type thing?
No, like a claw. Oh. So you didn't get whatever. And so for whatever reason, my dad was convinced to invest $50,000 into this. And needless to say, he might as well have just shredded it or given it to me. But so turns out, so the guy's name was Lev, and
Parnas?
Yes.
Oh my God.
He was our neighbor, and they spent a lot of time hanging out together, and he eventually convinced my dad to do this. And so my dad called me and he's like, have you seen the cover of the paper? I'm like, I don't even know where one would get a paper. Like, we don't have bodegas here, you know? Like, so I was like, no, but yeah, isn't that funny? Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So apparently he's convincing. That's, I mean, I guess that can be my cool thing of the day, you know.
I'm impressed.
I know, but it's
repressed.
Don't be repressed. No, right. The only thing I like about the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel comparison is that there's this badass woman thing going on. Like,
yeah, I mean, I just, you know, everybody gets mad that ScarJo played an Asian woman, but like, why did they have an Irish Catholic playing a Jewess?
Right.
You know, and doing this fake, like, I'm so borscht belt. Like, I can do that because I'm fake borscht belt. But like, you can't do that unless you're a little Zoftig.
I agree.
You can't do that with a lost voice.
I know.
I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. I will buy her apartment and her wardrobe, but not her. No.
I'll buy her figure. She's got a fantastic figure.
Oh my God, what a figure. What a figure on that girl. What a nice little figure. That's the kind of thing my mom would have.
But I feel like we just slipped into the world of Mrs. Maisel in our language. So terrific figure. I agree, but I also don't know. I don't know, like the Scarlett Johansson thing I didn't agree with. Like, I don't know, like we have to be badass women. Yes, we should support minorities playing minorities roles, but isn't being a badass woman about being the best you can be, whether that means enjoying being a stay-at-home mom, or, you know, discovering
or not enjoying it,
or you know, starting something new, you know. I'm turning 43 in a month, if the world is still turning, and like, I don't ever want to stop trying new things.
No, I mean, it's all about the fight,
right?
You know, and so it's all about keeping doing that. I think, like, I don't know, I need the word fight in my head a little bit to keep fighting. You know, because it's easy to kind of be like, and kind of slow it down. And I mean, even though I don't have specific goals, I have very unspecific goals, and just tons of them, you know, like I want to write a book. I want to be I don't want to be famous. Like, I can't walk down this street, but I want to be famous. Like everybody who does the thing that I do
Yes.
is like, oh, she's really good at doing the thing she does. You know, that's the kind of famous I want.
And you know what I've discovered? Like the comic world is very small, and like like everyone seems to know like, oh, that person's really good. That person's really good. You know, so like I will let you know as the cycle goes on when someone says like, oh, I know her. She's really good. So, because it happens like a lot, and there's like the New York comedy or the DC comedy or the LA, and so I think I'm slowly like circling around because I begged on Facebook for people to help me out, and I got in contact with Amy Hawthorne, who's the New York.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and she's awesome, and she hooked me up, and so and she's fantastic and very funny, and I like her, and she's a badass. So
a lot of these comedy bookers are actually really funny themselves.
Really?
Yeah.
So then why don't they free the
like read The Artist's Way or something?
I don't know. I want to say free the boobs, free the nipples, something, but that's not. But yeah, exactly. Flying like a bird. Let it fly. I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, she was fantastic. Any tips on how to allow my children how to keep my children alive to their teens?
Just kind of be there. You know what really influenced me a lot on this whole tween teen thing is that there was this article in the New York Times about parents of tweens and teens are like potted plants. It's the most unrewarding job you could ever have. Okay. But basically our job is to kind of be there in the corner like a potted plant, and then when they need us, we are there for them to come to. But a lot of times they don't, but they get more oxygen just knowing that plant is sitting there in the corner, putting its life and goals and dreams on hold until they can fly on their own. It's really,
I'm gonna Google it. That's why I wrote it down.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good article, because when it seems like they're ignoring you and blowing you off, they know you're there. They know when you're not there. When you're like, oh, do you want me to walk you to the blah, blah, blah? If they say, I don't care, that means yes. Like if they say no, that might mean no. You might want to ask again, but anything ambivalent means they want you. So, I mean, those are more tween things, but I think that you're entering the zone. And
my daughter is more like 19 than 9.
That's how the girls are.
She keeps telling me that I said, what's the matter? She's told me multiple times she has resting bitch face. Like, she does not. She does not. She's fucking adorable, but she does not have resting bitch face.
Fun to say that, though.
I know, but oh, I love that. I like that advice. And I'm going to need help not killing them. So
I mean, and I've just, I've given up on some of the screen time battles.
Same.
And not doing them. This is so pathetic. I try to encourage them to spend an hour a day not on screens, and I often fail.
Yeah, you're not the only one. It's okay.
So,
I mean,
and I just have faith. Like, I mean, I'm sorry to say this because it's like I'm making a lot of assumptions about you based on what you've told me, based on the places you live and your job and your husband's job and the color of your skin. But like, your kids probably are going to be fine no matter what, and they might have a year where things are slower than usual, but their whole cohort's going to have that. And they have a funny, loving mom and, a boring, hardworking dad. No, I don't know him at all, but they have.
No, you just hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head there. No.
And to be okay. And so to not get caught up in the details of it and to kind of see the big picture and just know loving them really is enough and being there for them really is enough. And there are gifts in this time, even though that sounds really corny.
No, I agree. I mean, this is more time than we would have spent with them, normally. And I agree. And I think that was beautiful. And it makes me feel less shitty of a mom. So thanks. Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lindsay. This was a blast.
Where can people find you?
At my website, amyveltman.com. And then there's links there to all kinds of stuff.
Fine. I'll include them all in the show notes. So no worries.